Those who often travel by plane know that security is extremely tight. Up in the sky, there are no police stations or hospitals, so authorities need to ensure that no one is boarding with dangerous or illegal objects. Some smugglers have abused their creativity to try to circumvent the system, while others with unusual belongings were surprised to find out they couldn't board with certain items, and that's exactly what you're going to see here today. So go ahead and leave your like, click the subscribe button below, and let's get started. The staff at Delhi Airport in India were surprised to discover that a passenger with a brilliant mind had the illustrious idea of trying to smuggle gold. Guess where? Under his wig and, well, up his own backside. That's right, this guy coming from Abu Dhabi wanted to enter India with 686 grams of gold, but chose a bizarre and risky way to try to go unnoticed. First, what caught their attention was the man's hair. It was a strange, wavy style, a bit out of place, which made the guards alert. When the team went to check up close, they soon noticed that the hair was fake, a wig glued directly onto his bald head. Underneath, there was a well-hidden bag of gold. But to make matters worse, the officers also found 2 more packages, this time hidden where the sun doesn't shine, inside himself. In total, the seized gold was valued at around thousands of dollars. Yeah, perhaps his head isn't that brilliant after all, because his plan didn't work out. He tried to be clever and ended up getting arrested at the airport. At Bogota International Airport in Colombia's capital, a 28-year-old Canadian woman who was ready to board back to Toronto was caught red-handed with a fake belly stuffed with 2 kilograms of illegal substances. It all started when a policewoman, with a sharp nose for these things, decided to approach the Canadian woman. She asked how far along the pregnancy was, and the woman's response was not only rude, but also raised suspicion. That's when the policewoman insisted further, asking to touch the big belly. It turns out her belly was very hard and cold, and real pregnant women don't have bellies like that. Upon inspection, the policewoman discovered that the belly was made of latex and was stuffed with 2 packages of that dangerous powder, estimated at over $100,000. The Canadian woman tried to explain herself but was not pardoned. She ended up being arrested, having to answer for international trafficking. A scene from a horror movie happened at El Dorado International Airport in Colombia, when customs officials found over 140 tarantulas hidden in a chessboard. The spiders were concealed inside plastic bags in the middle of a shipment to Mexico City. The discovery began with a tip-off from a delivery company that found strange objects in the X-ray of the cargo. When the environmental police went to investigate, they found the spiders crammed inside the chessboard. According to authorities, the spiders were of the order Megalomorphae and were headed to Mexican pet shops, where they would be sold illegally. The Colombian Ministry of Environment, which helped in the operation, commented that the cargo didn't even have a license or any documents. After this fuzzy discovery, they went after who sent and who would receive the cargo to apply the punishments provided in Colombian environmental law, which are quite severe. The worst part is that 12 spiders couldn't withstand the journey and died from lack of air. The survivors were taken to a rehabilitation center, where they will receive treatment until authorities decide what to do with them. The trafficking of spiders and various other wild animals is illegal in Colombia. It's a shame that its vast biodiversity is a constant target of smuggling. Who doesn't like a fresh bread roll? And if it's stuffed, even better. Over in Germany, however, authorities were surprised to find a rather unusual filling inside the dough of the bread. It was money. According to Zoll, the country's customs agency, this money was hidden as part of a money laundering scheme. Well, to put banknotes inside food, they must be clean indeed, right? All jokes aside, tax evasion is a very serious crime. The finance minister showed the photo of the seizure at an annual statistics conference in Berlin, and it might help the government uncover an entire clandestine operation. When they find the baker, I wonder how he's going to try to explain this controversial filling. A 23-year-old Australian man was caught in a rather embarrassing situation at Melbourne Airport in his country. It's kind of hard to explain, but he had a pigeon in his pants, actually in pantyhose that looked more like underwear. And there were 2 pigeons. The guy was coming from Dubai. He seemed a bit nervous, behaving strangely, so the agents decided to search him when they discovered the birds. When security called the guy into a room, they found the birds strapped, one to each leg. In his luggage, they also found 2 pigeon eggs kept inside a vitamin container, as well as seeds in a pouch and an undeclared eggplant. So pigeons, eggs, and on top of that, an eggplant? It's a bit hard to explain this situation. And the worst part is that these birds aren't even valuable. The customs officers were baffled about what motivated the young man to try to smuggle them. Despite seeming normal, the pigeons and seeds pose risks of diseases and pests to the country. Australia's ecology is quite different from other countries, so the quarantine laws to protect its fauna and flora are very strict. Richard Janexko, a customs spokesman, reinforced that this kind of smuggling is dangerous to public health and the environment. The authorities took the pigeons, eggs, and seeds for inspection. The man was charged under animal trafficking laws, which can result in up to 10 years in prison and a fine of 110,000 Australian dollars, about 80,000 US dollars. It was supposed to be just another routine day at the customs of Miami International Airport. But in 2008, Agent Herbert Curcado had a surprise when he opened a shipment coming from Spain. Inside the box was a 3,000-year-old sarcophagus, but he didn't know that yet. The artifact, with ancient paintings, seemed like some kind of prop, a decoration for some historical or perhaps horror film. What raised the agent's suspicions, however, was that this enormous millennia-old coffin didn't have any documentation. Herbert called the Immigration and Customs team, which turned into a super complicated police investigation lasting almost 2 years. The story involved investigations that went from Egypt to Spain, passing through Italy. Only then did they discover that this sarcophagus was actually of a noble named Imisi from the Egyptian dynasty around 1070 BC. The sarcophagus had been stolen from Egypt over 120 years ago and had been wandering around Europe, from gallery to gallery, until it ended up in the United States. Zahi Hawass, head of Egyptian antiquities, insisted that he wanted the sarcophagus back. In November 2009, the process was resolved, and the former owner gave up fighting for the coffin. Hawass went to the United States, picked up the sarcophagus, and returned to Egypt, where he promised it would be displayed in a new museum in the city of Sharm el-Sheikh. According to Hawass, there's only one thing that makes an archaeologist happier than discovering old things, bringing them back to their rightful place. The busiest airport on the planet, located in Atlanta, United States, went through a rather terrifying ordeal, straight out of nightmares, when a guy tried to board with a very sharp glove belonging to the character Freddy Krueger, the famous killer from the movie A Nightmare on Elm Street. The TSA, short for Transportation Security Administration, didn't let it slide and posted a photo of the glove on social media, making users burst into laughter with the unusual episode. In the post, they said that anyone needing to travel with such a sharp glove has to put it in checked luggage, not in carry-on. This might be the most surprising case of all, where a 19-year-old woman tried to pass through the airport with a very eye-catching pink suitcase. Perhaps because it was so flashy, no one would have suspected that someone would try to hide something illegal inside that suitcase, but believe it or not, there was an 8-year-old boy all curled up inside, who was only discovered thanks to the X-ray. The woman entered the security control line in Morocco, heading to Spain. When passing through the scanner, the police saw the shape of a person inside the suitcase. Concerned, they decided to open it when they found the boy, named Abu, in terrible condition. The woman of Moroccan nationality was arrested on the spot. Shortly after, a man from Ivory Coast, the boy's father, was detained while trying to pass through the same airport. Upon seeing the photo of his son inside the suitcase, the man confessed that he wanted to take the boy to the Canary Islands. Very shaken, he said he just wanted to be with his son. The father also faced charges of human rights violations, and his son was taken by the Child Protection Services by the Spanish authorities. The security at Washington Dulles Airport got quite a scare when they opened a passenger's suitcase coming from China and came face to face with a package of dead birds. The man was trying to bring the little creatures into the United States, saying it was cat food. The package, which had a picture of a kitten and a puppy on the packaging, wasn't pet food at all. When the agents opened it, they found small birds, about 6 to 8 centimeters long, all packaged and ready for the trip. The passenger, who was heading to Maryland in the United States, had the package confiscated on the spot. These birds are prohibited from entering the country without processing due to the risk of spreading serious diseases, such as avian flu. Casey Durst, director of the Customs Field Operations Sector, said this could be a serious threat both to the country's poultry farms and to people. He assured that customs specialists burned the little birds along with the package. When a young Panamanian woman arrived from Bogotá at El Prat Airport in Spain, she aroused great suspicion among the authorities. It wasn't just her nervousness in the line, but also the somewhat evasive responses about the supposed trip she was making. The police thought something was wrong and took her to an inspection room. A female agent was searching for something suspicious on the woman when she found 2 bloody gauzes stuck under her breasts. Then the suspicions grew even more. The officer looked closely, removed the gauzes, and saw 2 very strange wounds and, to make matters worse, something white appearing inside the skin. The Panamanian woman even had the audacity to say that it was just a silicone surgery she had done about 2 months ago. But for the security team, that was definitely a trafficking case. It was then that they took the woman to Belvidge Hospital, where the case was finally clarified. The doctors removed what was in her breasts, which were in fact bags full of illegal substances. It wasn't a small amount. There was over 1 kilogram distributed between the Panamanians' 2 silicone implants. The case drew attention due to the girl's audacity. Until then, no one had seen this kind of trick. After all, putting such a substance inside one's own body is extremely risky. She was lucky not to have gotten sick during the flight or for something even worse to have happened. This one could very well not have survived her smuggling attempt. Stuffed animals are popular among people of all ages, and lately, some very realistic ones have appeared in toy stores. But none as realistic as this tiger cub found in a woman's luggage in Thailand. Piawan Palasarn, the woman in question, was at Bangkok Airport, the capital of Thailand, trying to check in a suitcase she had declared was full of stuffed animals. But guess what? One of them wasn't a stuffed animal at all, but flesh and bone. The woman was about to board to Iran on Sunday, but had some explaining to do. She tried to avoid the blame, saying she didn't know about the tiger, that the suitcase wasn't even hers, and even blamed another passenger, saying he asked her to carry the suitcase. But in the end, the Thai woman was the one taken to the police station. Thailand's wildlife officials were very worried since many such cases have been appearing in Asia. The cub was worth a small fortune, potentially fetching up to 100 million baht, equivalent to almost $3 million, on the black market for exotic animals. Especially in Iran, where there are wealthy people who might want an uncommon pet like this. Being a cub, the price gets even steeper. During a flight from Indonesia to the United States, Brenda Perry, a woman from Alabama, started experiencing excruciating abdominal pain and, to everyone's surprise, ended up giving birth to a baby lizard. More specifically, a Komodo dragon hatchling, a species of enormous and extremely dangerous lizards. Brenda had hidden a rare egg of the animal inside her own body to sell illegally, but it ended up hatching during her trip, probably due to the heat and humidity of the place where it was inserted. Initially, Brenda thought the pain was due to a spicy, odd-looking meal she had eaten near the airport in Indonesia. Things got worse, and she began to writhe in so much pain. She had to call the airplane crew, who luckily located a German veterinarian on board the aircraft, the closest to a doctor they could find. When the creature came out, Brenda screamed, saying the lizard even bit her. Imagine the pain she must have felt. And worse, after landing and being attended by doctors, the police were already waiting to take her to jail, where she was accused of smuggling and trafficking of wild animals. An employee of the United States Transportation Security Administration deprived a little monkey of one of the most important items of its outfit, a tiny firearm, the size of a coin. In the United States, you cannot bring firearms onto a plane. Everyone knows that. But what some people might not know is that they don't even allow fake guns or objects that resemble weapons on the flight. It turns out that the stuffed monkey obviously had a very small gun that couldn't be mistaken for a real revolver. Phyllis May, the maker of the monkey, was surprised when she was prevented from boarding. At first, she even thought the agent was joking, but she ended up losing the tiny gun. Phyllis makes the dolls by hand at home. She was on her way to her city in Washington, accompanied by her husband, when she got the surprise. The agent pointed to the object and said that it was a weapon. Phyllis even tried to argue, once she realized the agent wasn't joking, saying that no one would confuse her monkey's revolver with a real gun, but the agent insisted that it could be used to threaten someone on the flight. The maker shared her story with a local TV news, which ended up going viral. In the report, she expresses her opinion that she understands that security is a priority and that the agent was fulfilling her duty, but shouldn't common sense prevail in this case? A man from Hong Kong attempted an unbelievable feat at Shenzhen Airport in China. He was trying to board with 94 iPhones strapped to his body, almost 100 iPhones, but the guards noticed, and he ended up without any iPhones. When the guards saw the guy walking strangely, even without carrying heavy luggage, they decided to take a closer look and called him over to pass through the metal detector. That's when the alarm went off. During the search, they found the guy's body completely covered with iPhones. There were devices even on his thighs and belly, all held in place with adhesive tape. Seeing the number of devices stuck there, the inspectors couldn't help but take photos to document the scene. These iPhones, models 6 and 5S, the best available at the time, were all new and had a total value of over 300,000 yuan, equivalent to about $44,000. In the Chinese market, iPhones cost much more than in Hong Kong, and the price difference creates a strong black market for those who want to make some money off these smartphones. Hong Kong is not a separate country from China, but they have their own laws and economic systems separate from the rest of the country. It's as if internally they were a country within a country, but to the rest of the world, it's a highly independent state. Because of this, prices and taxes on products in Hong Kong, like iPhones, are usually different from those practiced in the rest of China. At the time, one of these iPhones cost the equivalent of about $380 in Hong Kong, but were sold for $460 in China. That's why this guy decided to wear a true armor of iPhones, thinking he would get away from the authorities and make easy money. But in the end, he had to answer criminally, and only took a loss. Don't forget to subscribe to watch more videos like this.